1 month into a brand new month, I should say, excuse me, along with the future of Title 42. Newsmax border correspondent Jason Jones is live in Texas with the very latest. Jason, good morning.
Rob, good morning to you. You know, we're in Del Rio, Texas, and we've come here in the midst of the worst border crisis in American history, because if we thought last year was bad, 2022 is showing us very clearly that this is going to be much worse based on apprehensions and crimes impacting the American people. And let me give you an example. Yesterday, we started our embed with the men and women of the Texas Department of Public Safety's Elite Aircraft Division. And right out of the gate, we apprehended 7 Hondurans supporting U.S. Customs and Border Protection, but then also responding to a 911 call as 4 Mexican citizens were just suffering from the exposure to the heat down here. But there's also a lot of other things occurring, not only back-to-back rescues and apprehensions, but what are known as debris fields, even down here. Now, I've shown you these debris fields in West Texas, but take a listen to Trooper Jacqueline Gooding, who's also a tactical flight officer with DPS aircraft, what she had to say they're seeing down here.
So we found a good layup spot right here is what we call it. We're in between two kind of the major highways that smugglers use cars like to pick up aliens or undocumented individuals waiting in the brush. We're about 20 miles from the river. What they'll do is they'll hike a lot of times in the middle of the night where they're less likely to be caught, making it to a spot like this, changing their clothes, getting out of their wet clothes, and waiting until they're picked up by a smuggler in a car. And then from here, they just try to make it without getting stopped in the cars.
And that debris field that you just saw, that's over 20 miles into the United States. And I say that to you because, you know, we have forgotten the American rancher, the American landowner, and how they're being impacted. One thing that you realize when you're down here is that these aircraft have to fly sometimes over 30, 40 miles in one direction because it's not always on the border. There's so many things impacting Americans far into the U.S. I mean, yesterday we had to land in Uvalde, Texas, for example, just to refuel to support the 911 call to make that rescue. So it's been extremely busy. Last night they apprehended another 25, and very soon, as we finish here, we're going to take off and go help CBP again.
Wow. Jason Jones, thanks so much for the update. Uvalde, if you're driving, it's about 70 miles to Del Rio. I'm sure as the crow flies, It's not quite that far, but certainly a town that's been in the news over the last 8 days. Jason Jones, thanks so much. Keep us posted down there. We appreciate it. All right, even though the left rarely acknowledges the crisis at our southern border, it's affecting all of us every single day. And joining us now from the southern border, our next guest, Iowa Congresswoman Ashley Hinson. Congresswoman, good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning, Rob. Thanks for having me on.
I know you're down at the border right now. Could you tell us about Isnardo Garcia Amando, a man who was released into the U.S. population in Yuma, Arizona back on April 18th. He was finally arrested all the way in Tampa, Florida in early May. That's about 2,000 miles away.
Right. And it's very concerning, right, that he was released into our country in the first place. So I sent a letter actually to the administration last week asking them those simple questions. Why did you release someone who was on the terror watch list into our country? Why were they roaming our country free for 2 weeks? Are there any other people who are on the terror watch list who are facing the same fate, right, where they've been released into our country and now we are trying to track them down? He should never have been released in the first place, but it speaks to the bigger problem of accountability with this administration. President Biden inherited a secure border, and his policies, and he's doubling down on them, are directly causing this crisis at our southern border. It's a pretty simple fix. Don't release terrorists into our country. Let's stop with the catch and release. Let's reinforce the Remain in Mexico policy, as we should be doing. Let's build the wall. I mean, we're in McAllen, Texas right now, and this is the site where you have hundreds of millions of dollars worth of unused steel sitting here that is destined for the wall, and this administration is just sitting on its hands.
Right. That steel's paid for, by the way. That was put there to continue construction on the wall, and that stopped in January of 2021 when Joe Biden took over as president. So this guy was on a terrorist watch list, okay? Is it safe to assume that there are other people like this who are a threat to our national security coming into the country without us even knowing about it?
Well, unfortunately, the unknown is what is scary to the American people. So this trip down here, we're with about a dozen members from our House Budget Committee. This is about accountability for the taxpayer. It's about safety and security for our communities, because the truth is this administration continues to dodge us and will not give us answers. It's why I've called for Secretary Mayorkas's resignation from the Department of Homeland Security, because ultimately he is accountable for these failures by the administration. President Biden is accountable. The border czar, Vice President Harris, is accountable for these failures at our southern border, and they continue to turn a blind eye to it. But I can tell you this is coming up at my town hall meetings back in my district in Iowa, because our local officials are concerned about the influx of drugs, the influx of dangerous people into our communities.
Right.
And they are directly asking us for resources now because the federal government has failed them.
Yeah, and they're going to have a chance to vote in 160 days when the midterms arrive on November the 8th. So you want to judge people by their actions and not what they say. You hinted at this. Basically, Joe Biden has reduced ICE budgets. He reinstated catch and release. You mentioned that. And he has undone many of the Trump-era policies, which were working. Do you think he has any legitimate interest in solving the problems down there?
Well, it certainly doesn't seem so, but I can tell you that we do. That's exactly why we're here. We're here to hear directly from the Customs and Border Patrol agents who are on the ground. What resources do they need? How can we actually fix this problem? Do we need more people? Is it money? Is it materials? What is it that we need to actually solve this problem? Let's focus on that.
What are they saying? Have they given you any indication how they feel about the administration? I know that's a big no-no, but here we are. This has been going on, Congresswoman. This is 16 months.
Right.
I've been talking to Jason Jones on this show, who was just on a moment ago, for the last 16 months. It's not like this is a new problem. Are they happy with the way things are going down there?
No, the morale is at an all-time low, and you've seen many videos come out of CBP agents actually confronting the DHS Secretary Mayorkas about this, and that continues. So I think this is about letting them know that, hey, we want to support you in doing your job. We understand as members of Congress that you are out there putting your lives on the line for us to keep our country safe. Texas DPS is doing it as well. They're picking up a lot of the slack from where our federal government has failed to give these agents enough resources. But you're right, it's about resources. It's about policy decisions. We know that deportations in this country are down. I think it's over 60% as a direct result of this administration's policies.
Wow.
So we want to make sure that these agents, whether it's ICE agents or CBP agents, have the tools and are empowered to do their job to help keep our country safe.
Yeah, we had a record number for illegal crossings in April, 234,000. That's the most we've ever seen in U.S. history. We should have the May numbers at some point late next week. But Jason Jones indicated yesterday right here on Wake Up America that the numbers could set another record, certainly for the month of May when it starts to get really hot down there. Congresswoman, thanks for being down there. We appreciate the update. Good to see you.
Thanks, Rob. Good to see you, too.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.